Most men give compliments that sound polite, predictable, and forgettable. And the moment those words leave their mouth, attraction quietly fades. This video reveals a different side of attraction psychology, one that very few men understand and even fewer apply correctly. The compliments you're about to hear feel risky because they break the usual rules of approval and validation. They create tension instead of comfort. They spark curiosity instead of reassurance. And that is exactly why they work so powerfully. In this video, you will learn 4 so-called forbidden compliments that trigger emotional desire rather than surface-level interest. These compliments operate beneath conscious awareness, tapping into deep psychological responses studied in behavioral science and social dynamics. They signal confidence, emotional control, and self-worth without loud words or forced energy. Each one shifts the balance of attraction in subtle ways that most people fail to notice, yet instinctively feel. You will also discover why common praise focused on beauty or approval often backfires, and how the timing, tone, and emotional distance behind a compliment matter more than the words themselves. Throughout this video, lesser-known psychological principles will be explained in simple language, including how uncertainty fuels attraction, why restraint increases perceived value, and how emotional independence creates desire without effort. The final compliment is the most powerful of all because it removes neediness from the equation entirely, and once you understand it, the way you communicate will change permanently. Watching until the end matters because these compliments build on each other, and missing one breaks the full picture. This is not about manipulation or tricks. This is about understanding how attraction actually responds to confidence, presence, and emotional self-control. Men who master this approach stop chasing reactions and start creating them naturally. If you want your words to carry weight, your presence to feel grounded, and your interactions to spark genuine desire, this video delivers the blueprint step by step. Welcome to our channel, where psychology meets real-world attraction without games or exaggeration. Subscribe now so you never miss insights that most people never hear, and stay with us until the end, because the last compliment changes everything. Attraction reacts first to emotion, long before logic has time to catch up. That is why polite, safe compliments often land flat, even when they are well-intentioned. They sound pleasant, but they carry no emotional charge. Forbidden compliments work differently because they introduce uncertainty and tension at the same time. They do not spell everything out or seek approval. Instead, they leave space for interpretation, which naturally pulls attention inward. When a compliment feels slightly unexpected, the mind lingers on it longer, searching for meaning. This creates curiosity, and curiosity is one of the strongest emotional drivers of attraction. These compliments also communicate confidence without needing to announce it. They suggest that the man speaking is comfortable with his desire and equally comfortable without a response. That emotional balance signals options, whether spoken or unspoken. When options are implied, value increases instinctively. The dynamic begins to shift because the interaction no longer feels like one person trying to impress another. Power moves subtly through restraint, tone, and timing. The compliment becomes an expression rather than a presence, and that difference is felt immediately. Emotional reactions start forming beneath awareness, shaping attraction before words can be analyzed. The first compliment works because it speaks to identity rather than surface features. Physical praise is common and expected, which makes it easy to dismiss or forget. When attention shifts to who she is, the effect changes immediately. Identity-based compliments acknowledge values, character, mindset, or emotional presence, areas that feel personal and rarely recognized. This type of compliment signals observation and depth, showing that the speaker pays attention beyond what is visible. It creates the feeling of being understood rather than evaluated. When someone feels seen at that level, emotional walls soften without conscious effort. Most men avoid this approach because it requires awareness and confidence, not rehearsed lines. As a result, it stands out sharply against routine praise. The mind naturally protects identity, so when it is affirmed, emotional investment increases. She begins to associate that feeling of recognition with the person who triggered it. The compliment does not demand validation or approval, which allows it to settle quietly and grow in impact over time. Self-concept becomes activated as she reflects on the trait being recognized, reinforcing the emotional connection. Attraction deepens because the interaction touches something meaningful rather than fleeting, creating a subtle bond that feels genuine and earned. The second compliment works through restraint rather than intensity. Attraction is acknowledged, yet it is expressed in a calm and measured way that avoids pursuit. This balance creates a subtle tension that keeps attention engaged. Emotional control becomes the core signal here, showing that desire exists without urgency or pressure. When interest is communicated without chasing, it shifts the emotional rhythm of the interaction. Instead of reassurance, there is space. That space allows curiosity to grow naturally. Uncertainty plays a quiet role because the response is not guaranteed or demanded. The mind begins to fill in the gaps, often amplifying interest on its own. This dynamic activates a push and pull effect, where attention moves closer, then pauses, creating movement without force. Perceived value increases because the compliment does not feel freely given or easily repeated. It feels selective. The emotional tone remains steady, which contrasts sharply with reactive behavior that often signals insecurity. Desire strengthens in this environment because it feels earned rather than chased. Control over expression becomes more attractive than expression itself, guiding the interaction into a deeper emotional current without overt effort. The third compliment works by highlighting contrast rather than competition. Instead of placing her above others through comparison, it focuses on qualities that feel distinct and personal. This approach avoids ranking or judgment and instead creates a sense of rarity. When someone feels rare, attention sharpens and emotional presence deepens. The compliment suggests that her way of thinking, reacting, or carrying herself stands apart in a quiet but noticeable way. That distinction feels organic, not forced, which makes it more believable. Uniqueness bias becomes activated as the mind responds strongly to what feels uncommon. The interaction shifts because the compliment implies selectiveness without declaring exclusivity. There is no promise and no pressure, only recognition. This builds a feeling of being chosen without being claimed. Emotional engagement grows because the compliment feels specific rather than interchangeable. It cannot be easily repeated with someone else, which increases its weight. The sense of contrast also protects the interaction from becoming generic or routine. Attention stays focused, and attraction deepens as the experience begins to feel singular rather than replaceable. The fourth compliment carries the most impact because it removes need from the interaction entirely. The words are delivered with ease, then attention is released rather than held. There is no pause waiting for approval and no attempt to guide a reaction. Detachment changes the emotional weight of the compliment, allowing it to stand on its own. This behavior signals abundance, suggesting that attention and validation are already fulfilled elsewhere. When presence remains calm and self-contained, attraction responds instinctively. Absence begins to create pull because the mind naturally leans toward what does not linger or insist. The compliment becomes a moment rather than an exchange, which gives it lasting power. Emotional space opens, and within that space, curiosity grows. Value increases when nothing is asked in return. The interaction feels grounded, confident, and unforced. Detachment also prevents emotional pressure, allowing attraction to develop without resistance. Attention shifts inward as meaning is processed privately. This subtle withdrawal creates a contrast between expression and expectation, drawing interest without effort and allowing desire to deepen through quiet anticipation. Many compliments lose their impact because of what follows after they are spoken. Over-explaining turns a simple expression into a justification, draining it of confidence and emotional strength. When too many details are added, the compliment begins to feel rehearsed or defensive, as though it needs approval to stand. Repetition creates a similar problem. Words that are meant to special become familiar too quickly, and familiarity weakens emotional response. Saying the same compliment again and again reduces its value and makes it feel interchangeable. Seeking reassurance after a compliment further shifts the dynamic. Questions, nervous laughter, or subtle cues for validation signal uncertainty and place pressure on the moment. Attraction responds poorly to that pressure. Presence matters more than phrasing, and without it, even well-chosen words fall flat. A compliment delivered without calm energy or emotional control feels disconnected. Tone, timing, and restraint carry more influence than the compliment itself. When presence is missing, attention drifts, and the emotional effect fades before it can take hold. Attraction is never something that can be forced through effort or clever words. It is triggered quietly through emotion, presence, and timing. Compliments only carry power when they are supported by calm energy and emotional control. Without that foundation, even the right words lose their effect. The man who does not seek approval communicates confidence without explanation. His silence holds weight because it is not filled with need or expectation. When words are used sparingly, they land deeper and stay longer. This is where attraction shifts, away from chasing and toward natural pull. Understanding this changes how communication feels on both sides, creating space for desire to grow on its own terms. Say less. Let the silence do the work. If this insight helped you see attraction differently, like this video and subscribe to our channel for more psychology-based content that most people never talk about.